Hello, it's Daz. This week's discussion is on controversial internet personalities and the trend of censorship. Friends, is inflation wiping you out? Are you cutting back to make ends meet? Food prices are skyrocketing with no end in sight. Same with the insane prices at the pump. It's gonna get worse all summer long, but you can fight inflation by getting affordable, delicious emergency food that costs far less than store-bought food. You see, this food is freeze-dried and packaged for long-term storage, so it's a whole lot less expensive than fresh or canned food. We recommend My Patriot Supply, America's largest emergency preparedness company. They have an inflation-fighting offer where you can save $250 on their 3-month emergency food kit. This is their lowest price in 3 years, so don't pass it up. This is a great way to fight inflation while preparing for food shortages. Your kit ships fast and arrives in an unmarked box for your privacy. Go to preparewithdaz.com and save $250 on each 3-month food kit you need. Do it now. Go to preparewithdaz.com, preparewithdaz.com. With the internet comes the freedom to express yourself. YouTube's motto is broadcast yourself. TikTok is all about putting out videos of dances and other things. There's Twitch for streaming and gaming. And with it comes lots of opinions. Within the truth movement, there's been figures like Alex Jones who are heavily contributed to conspiracy theories, or figures like Kevin Samuels who were part of the Red Pill manosphere, or Andrew Tate who was also linked to the manosphere. And oftentimes you have to wonder, when figures like Andrew Tate get censored, or Alex Jones, is this by design? Now, those who are fans might think this is just proof of an unfair system. Is it possible that, to begin with, some of these people started out with true intentions or not? But there are a lot of CIA operatives. There's a whole history of them planting themselves into different communities with alternative thoughts and using them as a metric to keep track of those who share similar deemed dangerous opinions or viewpoints. And it's no mistake that these figures that they censor must push the limits, push the boundaries, and create a lot of anger and frustration. So people who would usually not cry for censorship suddenly want these people banned, silenced. And we see that although it starts with figures that the mainstream would call controversial, potentially dangerous, bigoted, misogynistic, while other figures who might say similar things, but because they're on a popular scale, they don't get the same level of censorship. However, is it possible that these personas are just used for them to know, okay, bring in the idea that censorship should just be a normal thing, similar to cancel culture with Generation Z? How Generation Z is known for being a little more vocal and also canceling individuals deemed problematic. So we see with canceling, with getting rid of the dislike button, with ridding the internet of certain controversial figures, whether it's them being banned from Twitter like Donald Trump, or them having their Patreon demonetized or shut down, or GoFundMe. And when this happens, oftentimes some of them do walk back on what they say, but many of them hold tight to what they say, but they're no longer able to express themselves on popular platforms within the metaverse like Facebook or Instagram. It does beg the question, are these people truly as controversial as they lead people to believe? I know that people can hold views that are not necessarily the norm, that might be considered extreme or even inflammatory, but sometimes they're such a personality, they're like a caricature. They have their own look, their own music, and we have this rise of podcasters. Everybody's a podcaster with an opinion and a microphone and a little room with their little theme song, sort of like a WWE wrestling going to bat. And it makes you wonder, I know people are creative, but how many of these people's personas were created by a machine? Similar to how Hollywood pumped out celebrities with a manufactured brand and image, it's not too much to say that our government couldn't also pump out their own brand of e-celebrities and e-personalities. There's been charts done of an iceberg where each layer is somewhat controversial at a surface level, and the deeper you go, the darker it gets. You get into some dark web, deep web stuff at the very bottom where people are just so beyond belief that they would even espouse these opinions on the internet. But then you have at the surface level people that just say things that might be considered body shaming, fatphobic, homophobic, racist, misogynistic, or whatever. And a lot of people who feel suppressed, who feel like the silent majority, sometimes do find an outlet with some people who aren't expressing these left-wing ideas, where we've been in a social justice warrior era coming out of the 2010s, whereas 2020s have been more so about persecuting and finding fault and silencing and censoring and monitoring us, whether it's a pandemic to keep us safe from illness, or for the fact that by 2035, at least in Europe and now in California, you won't be able to drive a car with gas. You know that money as we know it, paying for it with cash, is slowly going to phase out, and it's going to be more so credit, debit cards, and probably towards an RFID chip. Hence why we have our Apple Pay, or we're able to pay with our watch. It is interesting to see the way we progress as a society each decade, but also how these controversial figures are handled by those who police the internet and by our big platforms where people can share their views. And to me, the internet has always been one great experiment. It has done a lot of good as well as a lot of harm, but we know knowledge would increase as time went by. And with it has come some interesting figures and some interesting reactions, and also some suppression as well. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this idea of controversial internet personalities. I just named a few. I'm sure you can think of others that have been censored, banned, or at least people have petitioned to get them banned. And do you think these people are legitimately real in their stance and opinions? Do you think they're just doing it for money? Do you think some of these people could even be plants? Let me know in the comments section below, and we'll discuss this in tomorrow night's live stream at 8 p.m. Central Time. God bless and take care.